Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Mishal Saeed, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and really the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're thrilled to have Jaythan Elam, the founder and head of product at Jointly, joining us. Based in Tennessee, Jaythan brings over 15 years of design leadership from his impact work as UX manager at Store to founding Jointly, a design studio that transforms ideas into cutting-edge digital experiences through user-centric design and strategic consulting. We'll explore his founding story, how Jointly is revolutionizing UX for businesses, and really his vision for scaling this dynamic studio. So let's dive in. Jaythan, welcome to Founders Future.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's kick things off for the listeners. Take us back to the beginning. What specific problem within UX or the product design landscape inspired you to actually start Jointly?
Yeah, great question. Initially, Jointly was meant to be more of a traditional agency, and really having spent a good portion of my career in and out of startups, it was meant to be more of an agency that really addressed product design and branding it within that community and that industry. But it became clear very quickly that these startups are juggling more than just design. They're juggling a lot of other vendors and services. And from my time working my way up to head of product design at Store, I saw that pretty firsthand. I saw even there across other divisions, there were vendors all over the place, and uh, it was a pain point for everybody. Everybody was dealing with the logistics of that problem. And even in large organizations that I've been a part of, going back to my time at AOL, also dealing with vendors was a pain in the butt. And I started to wonder, am I coming at this problem all wrong? I'm sitting in this seat and I'm filling the role within this service as an agency, but am I leaving opportunities on the table that could be solved otherwise?
Yeah.
And so I decided to step back a bit and look at it like maybe there's a bigger design problem here to be solved. And that's when we started to think of this as from a more holistic standpoint, what do startups need across the board, not just
Mm.
from the design seat, but just holistically in general. And that brings us forward through many years up to today, where we are at the moment, where we are repositioning at the moment and building an entirely new platform that will address a lot of those issues for startups or any business really who is looking to create a transformative growth that allows us to present to them services across all divisions, not just design, but things like operations, product development, project management, legal,
Mm.
things of that nature, so that literally anyone with an idea
Mm.
can type it into an AI prompt, get that idea, come to us, and then we can help them execute on it. There's no longer do I have to go staff it? Do I have to go find people to build it? Like we are that one-stop shop, and we have this proprietary platform that we're going to put you on the minute you come in. That's going to give a whole transparent window into financially how you're doing and the work that we do and its impact on your growth along the way. So it's a lot more true to our name Jointly. And that was really the point in the beginning when we came up with that name. We want to work jointly along with you, right? This is a creative process with you. We want to
Yeah.
help you grow and be more of a joint partner. And this is actually bringing us closer to that end goal than we ever imagined it would. Just
Yeah.
it never thought that's how it was going to go in the beginning.
Love that. From what it sounds like, you really have diversified a lot of your offerings, and it's really a bit of everything for everyone from what it really is. Let's get into the nuts and bolts for the listeners, even potential clients, viewers that are tuning in. Would love for you to walk us through really how Jointly generates revenue today. What exactly is that core offer? I know you do offer UX design, product development consulting, technology integration, and how do you structure it for some of the clients that you work with, some of the startups or tech firms?
Right. Currently, we have like a tiered system internally, and we're working out the kinks of this now on the ground. But that that system revolves around different services offered at different tiers. and different course payment packages, but you're signed on for an entire year across all of them. Everyone gets access to the unified launch partner platform, which gives everybody who's on it a financial forecast and allows them to also have access to other proprietary products that we build in-house to allow you to use basically like things that we have built internally that are like workflow tools. So it's a little small marketplace of those things. So there's almost like a fourth bottom tier there of micro workflow tools that you can get and use and utilize as well, which is neat. So there's a sort of a secondary revenue stream for us through that. So all of those things everybody gets automatically for free. And then depending on what tier you're on, depends on which services you get at, and then at what level of that service you get, really. But the whole point of the projection tool is that you can see when you need to actually ramp up to the next level that you're on. And you can actually see when that happens, my business is going to expect X growth when I get there. Now's not the time yet.
Got it. So from what it sounds like, a lot of your growth is product led essentially. It's like wherever
It
it
is.
starts, yeah, tier 4, they come in, it's automatically free, and then working their way really into what that commitment would look like for a year, right? Which is like higher level.
Correct.
Now,
Very correct. Yes. Yeah.
so in terms of the fulfillment model, I mean, from what it sounds like, a lot of what you do, maybe on the higher level tiers, is more customized. It might be a little bit more
It
hands-on, right?
is. Yes.
Longer commitment. How are you thinking about, from a scalability perspective, like dealing with the fulfillment? What's your approach to scaling as you're looking to take the company to the next level?
Good question. Really, that's kind of what we'd be very excited to sign on an X number of customers to prove out that model of scalability. But we've certainly got numbers projected out for that. Yeah, I've got that written down here somewhere actually in my notes, but that's a great question. We want to be able to reach a certain X number, which would then basically prove across the board on a number of different companies that this is not only feasible, but long-term accomplishable beyond just year one. And then once we've got those historical models going, we'd like to overlay that with AI to be able to start doing predictive modeling for other businesses that come in. Yeah. And then start to be able to overlay all sorts of predictive. And imagine if you had Robinhood for your business, and then you got all the types of business services that you needed to overlay with it.
Yeah, so from what it sounds like, really utilizing AI, creating a lot more, leveraging
Yes.
results to really drive a lot of that retention, right?
Yes.
As the customer progresses essentially through that journey map that you have laid out. No, I think that sounds really cool. Kind of building on your growth, what are some of the ways you're acquiring some of your customers right now? What's been working well on that front, whether it is LinkedIn, organic marketing, referrals, anything on the paid ad side that you guys have been trying? What's been primarily effective for generating some of the leads?
It's mostly word of mouth and recommendations. Actually, it's incredibly powerful right now for what it is that we're doing. And then once we are introduced to a particular company or individual, and typically it's done through word of mouth within the venture capitalist portfolio owner group, right? And then they introduce us to the rest of their entire portfolio, or we get in good with an existing startup, and then their portfolio owner likes it and wants to introduce us to the rest of their repertoire. That's typically how we're being very infectious that way. We've looked at other options and we have them slated for 2026, but right now in our what I would say is still our very quiet, stealthy growth stage, we are putting more of our focus on product and building out of all the little bells and whistles. So we're letting that viralness take us forward right now. That being said, when we do sit down and we talk to them, being able to showcase the amount of money that is saved between the fragmented vendor services and us, and the fact that we can not only save you money, but show projections of growth along the way and be very transparent, it's like the close rate is incredibly high for us. And it's no brainer after that. Like companies are just floored. It also helps that we have very talented designers and craftsmen and craft people really working for us. I've been lucky in my career to have met some very amazing people along the way. That really helps. I think if we didn't have that, like this wouldn't be much of a conversation. I don't think that this is by any means like a revolutionary idea, but I can tell you that without those amazing individuals, right, it wouldn't be as easy of a sell. They certainly make my job a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure. From what it sounds like, again, going back to product-led growth, you do have primarily your fulfillment team kind of executing now on
Yeah,
speaking with customers, really building a lot of those connections and referrals, and a lot of your network is the
yeah.
primary driver for generating a lot of those leads. Now, especially with a lot of guests on our podcast, like they've mentioned referrals being a lot of that bread and butter, being a lot more of the valuable way of generating leads, but it's not always predictable or easy to scale. What are some of those ways that you're looking at building more scalability into your marketing approach, especially as you're looking at growing the company? How are you thinking about that right now?
Right now, one of the things that is high on our list is sending my butt to conferences, literally getting me out of my office and sending me to go do this in person, which surprised the heck out of me. But I've got someone who does growth marketing, and that mixed with the other individual who helps do some of our financial strategic led growth. Those two people in the same room started doing some projected numbers, and for us they felt we were going to get more bang for our buck spending money to send me to do this in person, which I did not like to hear. I'll tell you, I'm a bit of an introvert and I like being in my office, so that was a bummer for me. But that, and I did put that to the test early on already. I got invited to a free conference, or I say free, I didn't have to pay.
Yeah.
Some people did. So I got invited to a conference. I got to go.
Yeah.
I went thinking, let's see if we get a deal from this. I'm not going to try to generate a lead or anything. I'm just going to go listen, be on my phone some of the time because I like to be on my phone. And we did sign someone from that conference, which was a complete surprise to me because I was working really hard not to, and
Yeah.
proves that I was right and I should be in my office working.
Yeah.
So that was pretty hilarious. And they definitely still let me know to this day that they were right, which is why they're good at their jobs. And so that was really like, okay, you guys are really good at this. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Which ones should I be going to? So now we're making a short list of very strategic like places we should hit. None of them sound super fun to me, but
And what it sounds like, you're primarily utilizing conferences as like the way to get out there and leverage a
it
lot of
is.
content. But like, how would
Yeah,
that affect your ability to focus on like the founder level work, right? Higher level and some of the other things. How are you navigating that?
that's a great question. I'm having to work it in and I'm having to be very creative with my time. So that's been new and fun, I guess you could say. I think it's just a matter of how bad do you want it? And so you've got to figure out how to compartmentalize your time and your
Yeah.
effort and work out when best to fit in certain things while we are making a concerted effort to send me to those places and do that. I've still very much got my hands like deep in both creation of this new transformation as well as existing day-to-day work. Like I still play a day-to-day role on teams, including recruiting. We're also doing an apprenticeship program where we've got people who are coming on, and we're trying to bring up a much younger base of individuals that we want to help create an entirely new culture followed behind this. Some of this stuff sounds old, I think, but I think there's been and we feel very strongly internally and jointly that there's been a concerted effort to move away from some of this stuff over the last decade and a half. And that's the environment, technology. There's a lot of things causing that. But some of the individuals that I have worked with and that are helping form this new entity come from an organization and an agency in the past that transcended some of those trends. And we have a different perspective on how to educate and, I don't know, create a holistic environment for others.
Yeah.
We're trying to bring that ethical mindset along for the ride. And I think we're starting to see a positive response to that. We've got
Yeah.
people reaching out to us wanting to be a part of that, which is very exciting. And we're helping people find jobs along the way, which is very positive for us. All good things, I think, moving in the right direction.
Yeah, no, love to hear that. What do you think about right now, being that you are doing a lot on your own? You're wearing a lot of different hats, you're going out to conferences, seeing how you guys can like start to generate leads. What is that biggest bottleneck to growth and scale that you think about right now, whether it is lead gen on the acquisition side, creating more predictability, more automation, so that way you're not having to do all that, or maybe even figuring out the sales process. Talk to us a little bit about the bottleneck there.
I think the biggest bottleneck is, or at least one of them is, we haven't reached a big enough scale that I need to disconnect myself from the projects and focus entirely on leading the transformation, which is what I should be doing. It would be helpful, and we're trying not to take on investor money, which keeps us very bootstrapped. Also, we're doing well, but it also keeps us very grounded and very bootstrapped. And that right now we haven't reached a level of scalability that I am needed to be replaced on the design side full time, despite having someone primed for that role. I'm still needed to lend a hand, which keeps me split a little bit and distracted. But for the most part, I think things are still moving at as fast of a clip as they can probably go anyway. I'd say the other thing that probably is one of the biggest bottlenecks is the fact that I feel like we're creating an entirely new category. And
Mm.
that in and of itself is slow going to some degree. You have to start off by explaining this is an entirely new thing, people. This is going to feel different. You have to approach this differently. And that is a bit of because people do get in that sort of samey mindset where it's, I just need to get a vendor in here and get it going. And so
Yeah,
you end up with this dichotomy internally, especially as a salesman. Do I go in and just try to pretend I'm a regular like vendor and then try to flip the script once I'm in? Or do I stick to my guns and I try to fight the system? It's
yeah.
very, yeah, it's very, you feel very conflicted about the whole thing. And I know one day we're not going to have that problem anymore. Everyone's going to be looking for a unified launch partner
Yeah.
that we're hoping to just make a thing. And I do think that will happen. But right now, when you say you need a ULP, people are like, I need a what?
Yeah. Essentially awareness, essentially a lot of that
Right.
lack of awareness. What are some of those like strategies and tactics that you're looking at to create a lot more of that top of funnel awareness, so that you don't have to do a lot of that heavy lifting on the sales side? Like, how are you exploring that right now?
We're looking at creating a lot of content just around this discussion entirely. Anya, who's head of lead growth for Jointly, is doing a very good job of recording me ranting and creating content from that, and we'll be doing a concerted push out into the social sphere, mostly LinkedIn, but she has her circles and her ways. But that'll be across social media, our own internal blogs, of course, which we'll be pushing out. There might be some TikToks. I don't know. I'm working on it. So we'll see. But I think there's going to be an entire sort of energy and push to get this pain point that people live with on a regular basis much more noticeable, so that way they can at least start the conversation like, oh yeah, that is a problem. We deal with that every day. Like, why do we tolerate that? That's
Yeah.
weird. Ooh, that could be better. And I think once that starts to happen, we have that snowball effect, or we hope to have that snowball effect, where people start to be like, "Did you see that ad? Or did you see that conversation that people were talking about, or that survey?"
I was going to say earlier, I mean, you didn't really mention much about the paid advertising side of things. Is that something you guys are looking at as well, like in terms of the approach to scalability? What sort of
That's a good question. We're try again. This fits into the try to be lean as much as we can. We'd like to not have to, but we very much may need to. It's on the table. It's the last resort. I feel like it's like we've tried all the other things. It didn't work. Let's pull the lever on that. Let's like break the emergency glass. At least that's where I'm at the moment. Especially with the the way I don't want to throw any shade at Google, but I feel like the way like SEO, paid search, and just searching on Google in general is going, I don't know that's really the best place to be putting our dollars, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. Like I barely even use Google anymore. I'm on Claude or ChatGPT or Perplexity
Mm.
99% of the time. And if I can't get it from there, then I'm asking my wife.
Yeah.
And like she's like the next AI down on the list, right? That's my list of AIs. And I feel like most people are starting to move that way. So
Now, a couple questions as we're in the lightning round, real quick, rapid. Let's get a bit hypothetical. If you had a genie in the room, you rub the lamp, now you have all these unlimited resources, what would you implement immediately to accelerate your business's growth?
I think we would do that AI thing where we're able to compare statistics and analytics from other businesses over time. So we can start doing very predictive type amazing things immediately the minute the person comes on board. I would love to be able to do that day one.
Hmm. Now, what's your vision for really growing jointly into the rest of 2025, 2026? Any specific revenue targets, performance goals that you're aiming for? Paint that picture.
Yeah, good question. We'd like to hit 8 million ARR by year one. That's hopeful. And I think if we sign the appropriate amount of clients in year one at 200,000 K per, then I think that's achievable. That's just basic math. But again, that's all contingent on them understanding what it is that they're getting. Us keeping overhead very low, which it is at the moment anyway. But I think there's a high likelihood that's possible, right? It's not just my network that we're cultivating here. Now we have 8 other divisions that are all part of this that are coming all on board, and they all come with their own networks as well. So there's a high possibility that that number is conservative.
Love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. We're excited to follow the journey along as you head into this year. So, on that note, that wraps up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. Jaythan, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights today. We're, like I said, excited to see the way you're going to be transforming a lot of your ideas into impactful digital experiences and empower other businesses. So, to our listeners, if you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also find some more resources at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses scale their growth through trained appointment setters and world-class sales systems. Until then, everyone, keep climbing, and we'll see you all in the next one.